to WRPB and WRPB Studios. So we are in an election season, and you guys have been with me 30 years, know how I feel about it, and how important our local elections are. And to me, they're more important than the president election because it affects what happens in our hometown, where we live, what we do. It is just very, very important. Sitting next to me is Bernard Taylor,
Yes, sir.
and you're running for.
So I'm running for Congress here in Florida Congressional District 21.
All right, what does that cover? Because
So,
I don't think those are just numbers to most people. So give us an idea where you cover, and we'll have a better idea.
so Congressional District 21 covers all of St. Lucie County, all of Martin County, and northern Palm Beach County, down to Okeechobee Boulevard and Southern Boulevard where the fairgrounds is. So if you want a more detailed look, because down in Palm Beach County it tends to get a little squiggly, definitely visit the Florida voter registration site and it'll let you know if you are in my district.
Well, I'm in St. Lucie County, so I'm in your district.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, what does that position encompass? So, you clarify for people like me and the audience.
Exactly. So your U.S. House of Representative is in charge of being your representative in the federal government. What they do is legislate on behalf of the people here in your district. So in terms of infrastructure projects, in terms of different community projects that you want to see happen in the community, it is your legislators, your congressman's job to go and lobby on your behalf to bring those resources back to the district for you.
So, you will spend time in D.C.?
Yes, sir. We'll spend time in D.C. and spend most of my time here in the community.
Okay. So, I believe that if they ever asked me to run for any office, I would run away. Okay? It takes a lot to campaign and run for any office, I would believe. Okay? And I don't think that a good candidate does it for the money. Okay? I think they do it to better their community where they live.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how long have you been living this in the general area that you're covering?
So originally I was born down in Miami. I moved to the Treasure Coast area when I was 11 years old. So I moved up to Gifford, Florida, which is in the city of Vero Beach.
Right?
I graduated from Sebastian River High School. My family maternal side is actually between Indian River County and St. Lucie County. So most of my family on my mom's side lives in either Fort Pierce or in Gifford, Florida. So my familiar roots are here on the Treasure Coast. Once I graduated high school, I went off to pursue my college career in football, got my academic degree in criminal justice and emergency medical services, and eventually moved back to St. Lucie County, where I've been a resident here for about 7 years now.
Okay, and I want you to understand the gentleman sitting next to me is running for office, but to me, that's important, but he's also been a firefighter. How long have you been a firefighter?
Been a firefighter for 6 years now. Best job in the world.
And most people don't understand that being a firefighter or a public service officer or police officer ties you deep in the community,
Yes, sir.
okay, and roots you in the community.
Yes, sir.
Is it a tough job?
It is a hard job, but I tell people all the time it's the best job in the world. I don't regret a day of my life deciding to put my life on the line for my community.
So do you believe that being a firefighter gives you insight for the office you're running?
Absolutely. I believe being a public servant makes me uniquely qualified for the position that I'm pursuing. I get to see my community from an aspect of the world that most people doesn't get to see. I get to see people at their worst moments. I get to see how people truly are living in our country. I get to see how legislation impacts people on a more personal level in terms of, healthcare, in terms of cost of living. All these things trickle down into my community, and when I'm responding to 911 calls or when I'm doing community events, I see and I hear the concerns of my community, and I hear them feel like there's nobody listening.
So why did you decide to run for office?
That point right there, my community is really, really looking for a voice. They're looking for someone that is going to speak on their behalf. They're looking for someone who's going to listen to their concerns, and not only listen to their concerns, but also find solutions to their concerns and make sure that they are being prioritized and not being cast aside or not being ignored because they don't quote unquote have enough influence to talk with whomever they have representing them.
Do you think that politics over the years has changed?
Absolutely. I can just, in my 38 years on this earth, not quite as long as you, my friend, but in my 38 years on this earth, I've definitely noticed a shift in our politics. It used to be more so people voting regardless of political parties, and it
Right.
was more so voting on who they thought was going to be the best person that was going to actually listen to their concerns and help solve the problems that they expressed they were feeling in their community. And I feel like now politics has gotten to a point of almost high school teams. Everybody's just so
Oh yeah.
my team, your team, regardless of whether your team does something wrong or your team does something good. It's like I'm just going to stick to my side. And I think that has caused a lot of divisiveness. And unfortunately, it has caused us, the American people, to be feeling the remnants of not being able to work across the aisle and not being able to work with each other to solve solutions.
And that's a terrible scenario because you're talking about a small group of politicians and a large group of people.
Yes.
Okay, and if we kind of feel like we don't have a say. Okay, and when you came in and we were talking in the green room before you got on, I specifically told you that we don't talk about parties.
Hmm.
Okay, I want people to see you as what you're going to do, no matter what party you're with.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what are the things that you think need to change?
I think we need to make sure we're actually putting people over politics. I think we need to go back. I think we need to go back to prioritizing people's needs and people's wants and actually listening to our constituents. Not necessarily, again, we're walking these party lines. I think we need to put the focus on the things that the American people are telling us to focus on, which is cost of living, which is making sure everyone has good health care, and specifically here on the Treasure Coast, making sure our environment and our waterways are clean and sufficient up to our standards, because they are a huge impact on not only our economy, but our health as well.
I mean, and I hate to say it this way, you're one person. Okay, could one person make a change?
So first, one person can absolutely make a change. I'm a bit of a history nerd,
Okay.
and one person has made a change throughout history. Whether that was Martin Luther King during his time in the civil rights making change, whether that was Gandhi during his time on this earth where he made a positive change on the impact in his community. It only takes one person to start making change. It only takes one person to start the ball rolling. And what I find when I read and when I learn about certain people in these movements and these change agents across history, I really, really see how the influence of one person standing up against the machine, even if you go back to David versus Goliath, it's always one person that motivates the entire community, that can motivate the change that we want to see.
Okay, so you decide you're going to run for office. Did you have family support?
No.
I didn't think so. I
No,
definitely didn't think
not
so.
at all. My wife looked at me and she
Said,
said,
"You crazy?
"You want to do what?" Yes, that was not a easy conversation to have, but we are at a great place now where she's not only support me, but she not only supports me, but she is one of the backbones of this campaign.
All right, and we're going to get into that. So, what I read, and like I said, I never like to get into negatives, but I read that a lot of politicians take the path of downing the other person.
Hmm.
And for me, if you're going to down somebody, even in business, if you have a pool company, let's just say, you don't want to talk bad about the other pool company. You want to talk good about your company.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when you decided to run, did you think that you had to do a lot of changes? Is there a lot of changes that need to be done to get this area where it should be?
Um, when you look at some of the things in this area, when you look at the environment, specifically our waterways, we're still dealing with some of the same concerns that we've been dealing with for the past decade. When you look at the cost of living that we are experiencing, especially here in St. Lucie County, where we have some of the highest property tax rates in the entire state. When you look at the healthcare industry and medical insurance and all the people here on the Treasure Coast that have lost their healthcare insurance over the past year, the trajectory and the path that we're going on now is not sustainable, and it is not working for the people here in our district. So to answer your question, the path that we're on now is not a path that is going to lead us to prosperity. And I think a lot of people are ready for change here.
I think, and I hate to say it this way, I think that one of the downfalls of politics is the greed.
Mhm.
Because for me, living in this area, having my businesses in this area, I see a major problem with infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay? Here's 1 million building permits, but we're not, and we're going to take that money from the building permits and all the taxes, but we're not fixing the roads.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you there's days that people go out and they get back in their car because they can't drive because the roads are flooded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And as you know, and everybody, the traffic is horrific.
Yes.
Are those things fixable?
They're absolutely fixable, and that goes along the lines of smart growth. One thing that I get asked about a lot on the campaign trail is my position on development, and I'm for smart development. I'm not for the overdevelopment that we have been experiencing here, especially over the last 5 years. We are building so many homes and so many different residences without actually having the infrastructure to support it. When you look at St. Lucie West and Peacock, like they're still trying to widen that road out, and it doesn't feel like they're doing anything. It feels like they can't keep up with the influx of people that are coming in. When you look at Crosstown and how that's pretty much the Crosstown Speedway now.
I was here before it opened, and I said, "What a blessing it's going to be!" And you have 3 roads that go east and west.
Yes.
Okay, and they're all a nightmare now.
Yes.
Now I will say this: the police chief in the city has really stepped up on traffic.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but it took X amount of time to get to this point. It can't change overnight. It's just not possible.
No.
So changes that you see that you want to make, are they long term? Are they? I hate to use this term. Are they instant gratification for people? I mean, it took a while to get to the point where we're at.
And it's going to take a while to undo it, and that's a lot of what I try to educate voters whenever I'm on the campaign trail. Don't so much focus on the instant gratification, the microwave fixes. It didn't take us, like you said, it took us a very long time to get where we are. It's going to take not a very long time, but it's going to take a long time to kind of mitigate where we are right now, because again, we have a huge population boom here. I think St. Lucie County was probably one of the top 5 places that people have moved to over the past 3 to 4 years. So there are a lot of people that are coming, and they're still coming. We're getting 1,000 new residents in this county alone every month.
Wow.
We have to make sure that our local officials are actually investing in that infrastructure, investing in the roads, investing in what needs to happen in order to sustain this growth. So I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a moratorium on the growth in terms of building more residents and more houses and things of that nature until we can catch our infrastructure up. Because if we don't do that, if we continue to develop past our infrastructure, it's only going to get worse in terms of traffic, in terms of me being able to wake up in the morning. I remember when I first moved here and I started as a firefighter, I can leave my house in Fort Pierce at 6 a.m. and the roads will be clear in the mornings. Now, if I leave the house at 6 a.m., I'm going to be late for work because traffic is already backed up from Palm Beach County to here. So we definitely have to make sure we are growing at a much smarter rate, and we have to make sure that we are developing at a smarter pace as well.
So you encompass Martin County.
Yes.
And Martin County is a much slower growth.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that that's a benefit for Martin County?
Yes, absolutely. Again, there's no need to outgrow your infrastructure. When you outgrow your infrastructure, you put a strain on the system. And we're seeing here in St. Lucie County what happens when that strain on the system doesn't get addressed. We see the traffic. We see the things that are being built that no one asked for in terms of things that are going up on US 1. So I truly believe, and that's what we talked about earlier, as far as like having politicians actually listen to their constituents and the things that they want. If people are telling you like we're not for all this development, we need to focus on our infrastructure and focus on those things first before we start to develop, I think we would have been in a better position than we are right now.
And we're getting at the top of time, but one of the things that bothers me is closed door deals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I believe you really need to be transparent.
Absolutely.
I think that instead of making $10, you'll make $6, but you'll make people happier, okay, by being transparent. Okay, how do people find out about your platform and what you choose to do? You have a website?
Yes, so please go to my website. It's BernardTaylorForCongress.com. You can go to BernardTaylorForCongress.com, click the Issues tab, and you will see policy legislation that I took the time to research and write out. So this wasn't just, your old cookie cutter policy platform. I literally took the time to put out the legislation that I would propose if I was in Congress today in order to make lives better for not just people here in Florida, but people all over the United States.
My concern for someone like you who wants to do good is and I said it before, it's one person against a load of people. And we got to wish you the best, okay? And say a prayer for you.
I appreciate it.
Because you're
Absolutely.
in politics. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody,
I appreciate it.
check out his website, and we'll be right back.